And the fourth member of the Benchwarmers made it out to Steelers training camp. We join Adam Ragle live from the Keystone State. Adam.
What's going on, guys?
How's it going, man? I got to ask you first and foremost, how rocked are you that Kurt Angle was busted with HGH?
Oh, I saw that last night after we got back from the training camp, and that just kind of blew me away. He said he had a prescription for it, but, with Kurt Angle, who knows?
They're going to take away his gold medal.
I know, with the broken freaking neck, man. I mean, come on, what do you expect from him?
Not only are they going to take away his gold medal, but they're going to put it up in a match. They're going to do a ladder match with it, aren't they? Okay, honestly, getting back to the football stuff. You've been there all week, talking to the players, watching things going on. Were you there for the preseason game against the Cardinals?
Yeah. We arrived actually on Thursday. We made it just in time for the game. We got to watch, basically a repeat of the Super Bowl. The starters only played about 2 series. Big Ben looked pretty good. Still had a little bit of rust on him, but, that's expected for the first game.
Right.
The one thing that I was a little disappointed with from the Steelers was their running game didn't look to be up to par. It felt kind of like it was still last year. They weren't able to get a good enough push, and, I think they had like 32 carries for 93 yards. I mean, that's just... Yeah, that's poultry right there. So
but
they ended up getting 2 touchdowns through the running game from undrafted rookie free agent Isaac Redman.
Who?
His name's Isaac Redman.
Okay.
He looked pretty good. He came from Bowie State in Maryland, and he actually looked really good. He scored 2 touchdowns on 2 runs during the goal line. He broke a couple of tackles, one in there, so I think he's looking to emerge as their go-to goal line back right now.
Some of the other rookies that made names for themselves in that game: Ziggy Hood, Joe Burnett, Mike Wallace. What can you tell me about those guys?
Yeah, Ziggy Hood, he had the sack and he had a couple pressures. Joe Burnett had the interception that was basically forced by Ziggy Hood. There were some other plays where he didn't quite look up to par, but again, he's a rookie. First game, he's still trying to learn the scheme of things. So, with his 1 sack and the pressure, he looked really good, and he definitely showed some promise. Joe Burnett, I mean, he broke on that pass before it was even thrown. He read Brian St. Pierre the entire way, broke on it, had the interception. Looked like he was going to take it back for a touchdown, but, just came up a little short. The other impressive guy was Mike Wallace. He's competing for their 3rd receiver spot right now. And he had a couple big plays, had a nice catch over the middle. The only thing I didn't like was he dropped a couple deep balls that were, end zone touchdown passes, and he just didn't make the right read on them and wasn't able to come up with the play. You'd like to see the receiver make that, but, again, this is all, first-year players trying to adapt to the speed of the game and stuff. So, overall, they looked really well, and it looks like they're going to get a lot of more than usual from their rookies this season as, contributing players in key situations because, Ziggy Hood's going to probably come in on 3rd down and rush the passer. Joe Burnett's probably going to make his name as a nickel and dime quarterback right now. And then, Isaac Redman's probably going to make it as the goal line back. And then, Mike Wallace is looking like he's going to be the 3rd or 4th wide receiver behind Lima Swede, Hines Ward, and Santonio Holmes.
Now, Adam, the Steelers coming off another championship. I guess it's kind of becoming old hat for you. They got 9 of them. Yeah, well, that's true.
Don wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Still waiting for my first one.
Jim would either.
You got 9 of 11 starters coming back on defense. A defense that basically was ranked number 1 in pretty much every category. I think they're number 2 in rushing defense, so they almost made the.
They lost it against Cleveland. They had the number 1 ranking going into that last game and gave up 100 yards to Lewis. But
right, so they almost had the clean sweep as far as defense goes, and the offense could score pretty much when they needed to. What kind of weaknesses do you see on this team? Because when you look at the roster and you look at the past history of the Steelers over the last few years, it doesn't really seem like there's that many. I know you said the running game didn't look all that sweet as far as preseason game 1 goes, but what do you think is going to be their biggest problem this year?
Again, it kind of goes with the running game, and it's going to be the front line with both sides. I mean, that was kind of the question last year, and they didn't really address it much through the offseason on the offense or defensive line. They drafted Ziggy Hood, so he's going to be a good replacement, but, if somebody goes down on the defensive line, you can't really expect him to step in and keep that level of expectation up, as Mike Tomlin likes to put it. And that's I guess the big the question is the quality of depth that they have on the two front lines are probably the biggest weakness, because the rest of the units, even once you get past the starters, are quality players that can contribute in multiple ways. So I think the two biggest weaknesses are the running game right now, and then the depth of the defensive line.
Now, Adam, one thing about the Steelers relative to, say, the Browns or the Lions is the Steelers obviously have a lot less to worry about in camp, and it's a lot more of going through the motions for some of the starters. Whereas, as you were focusing on earlier in talking about some of these younger names and some of these third-string guys, second-string guys who played well, of all of that, what you've seen through camp and the game against Arizona the other night, which second or third stringer, young or not, made the biggest kind of impression to maybe solidify a spot going forward?
I would have to go with Donovan Woods. He's a linebacker. He's made his name on special teams, but he came in right after the starters went out. He was with the second unit, and he made every tackle. I mean, whether it was a pass play or run play, he was making the tackle. He was in on every play. So I think he definitely earned himself a spot on the roster. Somebody else who kind of surprised me was Sean McDonald. Now, I expected him at wide receiver. I expected him to, provide a solid veteran presence, but he caught everything that was in his pass. Even if it was off just a little bit on the throw, he made the catch, and he was able. I think he finished with like 6 or 7 catches for about 70 yards. So I think he solidified himself to. I think the Steelers are going to have to be forced to take 5 receivers with the quality of, obviously Holmes and Ward, and then with Limas Sweet possibly taking the third spot, and then Mike Wallace and Sean McDonald. It's going to be those last 3 spots are going to probably rotate between those 3 guys.
Adam Ragle, the 4th member of the Benchwarmers, joining us live from Steelers training camp today. Adam, I want to thank you for joining us and providing the update, and have fun out there in the Steel City.
All right, thanks, guys. You have a good day.
All right, thank you much.
Thanks, Adam.